All right, we continue on with our Week 14 recap. A lot of great action on Sunday, including the Cleveland Browns getting a much-needed win over the Baltimore Ravens. They won that one 24-22. Elsewhere, you had had a couple overtime results with San Francisco and Tampa Bay winning in overtime in Green Bay. It was a pretty interesting Sunday night game with a lot of highlights, and Chicago led that one to half, but Green Bay ends up taking care of business 45-30. Drink, what stood out to you on Sunday?
Well, the first thing we're going to get into this first order of business, the Cleveland Browns defeating the Baltimore Ravens, folks. It's not necessarily about the result of the game. Listen, the Browns won. Listen, it was about time. We've been hammering them week after week, talking about the inconsistency of the team. You know my motto. It starts with Baker Mayfield. It ends with Baker Mayfield. So the Browns well needed win for the division. Well needed win for their playoff hopes. But the Ravens was the concern for this game. The reason I want to talk about this game because Lamar Jackson ended up leaving the game with a sprained ankle or something of that nature. And I understand he will be day to day from this point on. The problem is Lamar Jackson is what we like to call a runner first, then a passer. Because you can miss me with that passer thing. Like, listen, I'm watching him play. I'm gonna say he'll runner first, then a passer. And your ankles are very valuable when you like to run. And when you're thinking about that ankle, you tend not to run. So when you're a running quarterback and you don't run, guess what you do? You force a lot of things. I'm just saying, what the Ravens don't need is if Lamar Jackson plays, if he plays, because I can see John Harbaugh probably resting him for a week or two, letting Tyler Huntley get out there and flop around and see what he got. Because we talked about this before the show. I love when people say, "Hey man, Tyler Huntley came in there, man. You seen him? He looked good, baby. He came in there. He could have won the game." And I love it. Yeah, absolutely. He looked good. Now tell me what he looked like next week when the team actually have a game plan for him. If he looks good in that following week, then I'm more willing to say, "Hey, this dude is the goods." But usually, and I mean about 80% of the time, when that backup come in, they play well. It's not much of a script on them, but that next week usually a telling story. So the Ravens end up losing, which end up dropping them down as far as the seeding go, and I think it boosted the Patriots up in the seeding. So that the whole AFC got affected, by that game. But I've been talking about how the Browns just ain't cutting it, and they finally won a tough game because I do think this is a tough game, tough divisional game. Second game I want to talk about, the Atlanta Falcons defeated the Panthers 29-21. AJ, we got to talk about this Cam Newton thing, man. We got to talk about this. It looked I ain't gonna lie, it looked all good. I'm back. That weekend we was talking, we was popping. Okay, look at Cam Newton, he looking good out here against the Redskins. I mean, against the Washington football team. Sorry, please don't ban me. He looked good out here against the Washington football team, and we talking. We're like, man, if Cam can keep this up, if he can knock that rust off, man, Carolina could be something. And he got benched for PJ Walker. PJ Walker. Now, to his credit, he did come back out in the third quarter, and he was the starter in the third quarter. But I don't. Listen, you got benched for Cam. You got benched for PJ Walker. I'm sorry. That one gonna be a stain on the old resume right there. I don't give a rip what Matt Rule talking about. If you was this as good as he say you were, then he wouldn't have benched you. So I don't care what he say after that. Hey, I want him to come out and clear his mind a little bit. This ain't no rookie. What are you talking about? This ain't no second-year quarterback. This dude used to be an MVP. Okay, cool. So that was a little concerning. I think the Panthers' goose might be cooked. I don't really see much coming. You can't lose to the Falcons like that. I mean, come on, man. The Falcons ain't did much of nothing this year. Much of nothing. They got smoked by the Eagles, for God's sakes. I mean, smoked by the Eagles, obliterated by the Eagles, and we're not that high on the Eagles. So I think Matt Rule's work is cut out as far as the quarterback. I was joking before the show. I said, here come the Kenny Pickens show. They're going to go ahead and draft Kenny Pickens or Matt Corral or, wait until the second round and get you some of that Carson Strong. Oh, man, this quarterback class is off for this year. But they might, stick around to get one of those guys. And then last but not least, I want to, hit on Tampa Bay Bucks on defeating the Buffalo Bills and say, what in the hell is going on with the Buffalo Bills? My God, where you at? Come, Josh Allen, $258 million, and you start doing this crap? Like, what we doing, man? Golly. See, this is what I'm saying. Man, they every time they cut the check, here come this tomfoolery. Here come this tomfoolery. They pay you, and then you don't pay them nothing. Listen, Leonard Fournette, right? Let me go ahead and give him his flowers, because I don't want to stop. I don't want to skip over this segment saying, all right, Leonard Fournette, I appreciate you, man. You've been through a lot since you've been in the NFL. Fourth overall pick, fighting fans, fighting teammates, doing it all, man. Just work, whatever, showing that Louisiana toughness that most people like. And for you to come back, you're getting paid a lot less. Your role is diminished. People starting to say they can't say you're a bust, but people saying you didn't live up to the billing. And then you come back and I thought he was the bright spot for the Bucs. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tom Brady played. Tom Brady was Tom Brady. Threw some touchdowns. But I really like how Leonard Fournette, did what he did on the ground. I was like, yo, that's the dude. That's the dude Jacksonville drafted right there. That's him. That's Leonard Fournette right there. I thought he was fantastic. And I will give the Buffalo, switch back over to the Buffalo Bills. I give them this. They did fight back. They did get back in the game. It did go over to overtime. So I will give them something for the fight. But why do you have to fight? I don't understand what is going on with this team. You brought back every piece you needed to be a championship level team. Yeah, I got injuries, but hell, this is the NFL. Who gives it? No one cares about injuries. Go out there and win the game. I'm sorry. But when you're throwing these millions around, we need wins. We need the dubs. Come on, man. So, those was the three games that caught my eye in week 14. What say you, Jay?
Just got to get back in on Baltimore, Cleveland. Not that I really care about Cleveland at this point of the season, but I think Baltimore's done. I mean, Lamar Jackson now dealing with an injury. Baltimore was kind of, getting by the skin of their teeth for much of the year. Now he's going to be banged up. I got to believe that's going to affect him somewhat. The schedule's really tough to end the year. They got Green Bay at home coming up. Then they go to Cincinnati. They got blown out by Cincinnati earlier this year. And then they finish up at home against the Rams and Steelers. None of those games will be easy at all. Hard to believe that they'll just fall completely out of the playoffs, but I don't see them as being a threat. They're too wounded at this point to, be a serious threat to probably Kansas City or New England. They're looking like the best two teams in the AFC right now. They're certainly the hottest teams. And speaking of those guys, Kansas City, man, they're on a roll, and I almost feel like they're under the radar somehow. Like I don't feel like they're quite getting talked about. It's almost like, a month and a half ago, maybe it's like, what's wrong with Kansas City? They're out here 3-4 or whatever, just not getting it done. Patrick Mahomes out here looking quite pedestrian. Well, they haven't done anything except win 6 games in a row, and I get it. Like there's been moments along and long stretches where the offense still doesn't quite look right, but this defense is playing out of their minds right now. And this seems to happen like year in and year out with this unit with Steve Spagnuolo. Like normally in the first half, we look at the Chiefs defense and like, man, they're gonna stop anybody this year, anybody or anything. Run, pass, special teams, trick plays, reverses. Could we do anything? But then as the year goes along, they get it together and they've given up 9 points in 3 straight games. They haven't given up more than 17 points in this 6-game winning streak. So even though you have, they only beat the Giants 20-17, they only beat the Packers 13-7, and then the Cowboys and Broncos 19-9, 22-9 respectively. But uh, I think the Raiders are about done seeing the Chiefs this year. Drake, can I interest you in these with this 48-9? They beat the Raiders this year 89-23. I think whoever I don't even remember the dude's name that coached the Raiders now, post to John Gruden, but it was such a lovely story at the beginning of the season. At the beginning, when the guy comes out there and they beat the Denver Broncos in his first game, and they're talking about how players love him, and all this other stuff. What? Yeah, that was real cute. He didn't lose.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm gonna say it like this. I think it goes hand in hand. You know how I got the philosophy on backup quarterbacks? It's the same thing with backup coaches. You get that victory, that one game you take over, and then people say, "Oh, that's the coach. Let me look at a little tape. All right, we're gonna take care of it from here." And then you usually get what you got now.
Yeah, they beat Denver and Philly to start off, and they have lost 5 of 6 since. So I think that they're also done at this point. And the Raiders, they were 3-0 to start the season. Then they were 5-2, and they do this. This is what they do. They come out here and they do a little tease early in the season, and then by the end of the year, you're like, man, that team 8-8, 7-9. Yeah, fraud alert. Anyway, I gotta say, speaking of fraud alert, have anyone watching Cincinnati lately? That was a team who we were looking at. It seems like as soon as people start believing in Cincinnati,
flop show.
They just kind of, they just don't get it done for whatever reason. And a game at home against the 49ers, who have been pretty inconsistent. They always have all the running backs hurt. They down to some dude named JaMycal Hasty running the ball. I mean, it's just I don't even know what's happening over there. But they were 5-2. Then they lost to the Jets. Then the Browns blew them out. Then they blow out the Raiders and the the Steelers. And now they just lost to the Chargers 41-22, and you lose this to the 49ers. They're not a good home team. They just lost both of these games at home, the last two. It looked like they kind of they're a respectable team, but they just not somebody we should take seriously from a contending standpoint. There's people that thought they would win the AFC North, and they still very well may, because I think Baltimore is stumbling right now. We know Cleveland's not consistent, and neither is Pittsburgh. It's going to be fun to watch to see how that plays out down the stretch, because none of those teams are consistent at all. But Cincinnati is definitely a team that we should be suspicious of, even though they do have a lot of talent, particularly on the offensive side. And, last, and this is probably one that, isn't all that important in the grand scheme of things. But I tell you, I am so grateful that the Denver Broncos play the Detroit Lions this week, because boy, oh boy, did them guys come out and they paid Demaryius Thomas one heck of a tribute. 38-10, beat the hell out of them from the start. This might be a stretch, but Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, that may be the best 1-2 punch in football as far as running backs goes. I mean, these guys get after it. Javonte Williams and
the only one the combination that comes to mind is maybe the combination Green Bay got with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. That's the only one that really comes off the top.
That's a good one too. I will say this. I think the difference for me is Green Bay has Aaron Rodgers and Denver has Teddy Bridgewater. So I mean, priority number one for defenses is like, we got to go get these running backs, and yet they still make it happen. I mean, and I really think the fans really want more Javonte Williams, but Melvin Gordon keeps coming out and he keeps playing really well. He's making it difficult. He's like, hey man, young gun, I know you're hungry, but I'm hungry, but I got to eat too. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I got a family to feed, man.
The defense, the two turnovers they forced, They had the 88 logo on the sidelines. They put the football around the 88. The tribute to start the game, they only took the field with 10 players. I thought it was a classy move by the Lions to decline that penalty, just start to finish. And just all the tributes throughout the week, it really illustrated what not only what a special player Demaryius Thomas was, but a special person he was.